Failure or system failure, and that actually leads into our next presentation because we've got Daniel Kopp, who is a researcher at DE-CIX, who's going to talk about those wonderful large IX systems and what happens if they fail. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Just one really quick thing. That goes forward, that goes back, and ignore the other buttons.
Thank you. Hello, everybody. To provide you some variety, I brought a lot of tables after the many kitten pictures. I'm with DE-CIX in the research department, and I would like to tell you something about the stability, maybe of the internet core, we don't know, but we investigated what happens if an IXP might fail. So in Europe, you have like many IXPs, and they have a lot of traffic. For example, at DE-CIX, we have reached in Frankfurt 5 terabits per second lately. And so there's always the question how severe it might be if such an IXP fails, and what will happen with the traffic, and will go the whole internet down and everything is not reachable anymore. So when last year one major IXP had plugged in loop into a network, a lot of traffic got dropped at their platform. And we had a look into our platform, what happened there. So that was IXPs. That was the 13th of May at 12 p.m., around 12 p.m. They had 400 gigabit loop in the network, and like 500 to 600 sessions dropped, BGP sessions at that time. And you see here, it's like a 2-day time span. And at the event, it looks like the traffic plummeted to the bottom, but that's not true because their measuring software got affected also. So it just looks like it got to the bottom, which is probably not true. So we'll see this at another stage. And now the question was, what will happen at DE-CIX? Now I had erased the part where the event was. And also at this aggregation level, you were not able to see the effects of the IXPs outage at the DE-CIX platform, because you had to have a more detailed view, because this one is 5-minute aggregated. And so the question was, will the traffic rise? That was what we thought at the first stage, with like, yeah, now we are reaching new traffic limit and heights and even more traffic, yippee. And or will it just stay the same because there's no dependencies, or will it even drop to the bottom? So this is now a view of the time span I had erased. And what we saw, and we were surprised, was a drop in traffic, about maybe like almost 10% at that time. And it happened in about like 10 minutes and after it recovered. And yeah, that was something we didn't expect it. So we got like the research department got the task to have a more detailed look into what happened here. So the time span was like that. At 1, you can see where IXPs plugged the loop. And at that time, our traffic started to decrease. And at the point 2, you had the like 500 to 600 BGP sessions drop at IXPs. And that was like almost our lowest level of traffic. And then at 3, you can see where IXPs, just after 7 minutes, found the loop and deactivated it. So that was pretty fast. And at that time also, our traffic started to get more healthy and back to a normal level, which was then at like 4. It's like 20 minutes after the event, it was fine again. And it even got a little bit higher. So we asked ourselves what could be the cause to that. And so far we found 3 points, which could be, maybe there's more, but we have 3 now. The first one was remote peering routers. So there are routers that are connected to both IXPs, just one router. So if there was a packet storm at IXPs with 400 gigabit, they got overloaded. And so they also had no connectivity at DE-CIX because this router was overloaded. We had a look into how many customers were affected and how much traffic this was accounted to of the drop. It was just 0.92 gigabit, so not much, but yeah, still, there's this effect, and we're pretty sure that this will happen again. Then we had the second thing, and I think that's the most interesting one, and we are sure that we lost the most traffic to this event. The idea is that you have, or it's not an idea, it's pretty sure that you have asymmetric routing in the internet. So one part towards a destination travels one IXP, and the back way, the return way goes over another. For example, it goes over IXPs and it returns over DE-CIX. So if one IXP fails, there's no connection anymore till the point the network converts again with BGP and so on. So to get a more deep look into this event, we try to measure like the asymmetric routing paths or any paths between different IXPs. And a colleague of mine wrote in software for that to use the RIPE NCC probes and to measure the whole thing. So we also made the software available at GitHub, and yeah, you can have a look at it. So asymmetric routing paths, we chosen the probes that were connected to both IXPs and that we know that had problems during that event, that they lost traffic. So we ended up with 50 ASs, which were connected to both IXPs and we know lost traffic. And of this 50, we had 38% which had asymmetric routing paths. And 8 of them didn't traverse any IXP. But it was just 50, so there's a lot of more. At DE-CIX you have 700, and at DE-CIX and IXPs there's 323 same AS connected. So what we did next was we used a lot of more measurement points and tried to measure it again independent of the networks that lost traffic. So we measured everything, and then we saw that we had 16% of asymmetric routing paths between IXPs and DE-CIX. So this number is lower, and the number before was higher, where we only used the ASs which dropped traffic or lost traffic at our platform that we saw. And so this also means that when we selected the nodes before, that they more likely were or lost traffic to that event, to the asymmetric routing paths, because afterwards we had just less percentage. And there's also numbers for different connections between IXPs. For example, we also have here in red DE-CIX and links, and IXPs and links in green. They are almost similar. DE-CIX and IXPs have a bigger overlap. Yeah. And to traffic details, here are some pie charts which show which ASs lost traffic or lost the most traffic. So this is the parts of the lost traffic which is accounted to which ASs, but you don't see AS numbers here. The numbers are megabit. So you can see for the source ASs, of course, it was the most other IXPs, different networks, different ASNs, which had 65 gigabits. And yeah, you can also see that content providers were more of the source side and destination were more eyeballs, which probably is the usual traffic exchange at an IXP. So I think that would say that there was no special occasion or special ASN that lost due to a misconfiguration a lot of traffic. Yeah. And a third point, which is more a guess, is that also user just went away from their, like when the internet connection was disconnected or it was not working anymore, they just went away, got some coffee or anything. And this, I think, is a pretty good point, because also if you have a look at the traffic timeline at IXP, you can also see that the peaks are during the time when people are at their PCs. So this could also be a big point, because traffic is user-driven, and if they do something different, it just is less traffic to exchange. And then also, coming to other results, Emil from RIPE NCC provided us with some statistics. You can also see it at his blog post. And this one is a little bit more detailed view of the event. He was using RIPE probes that traversed IXPs at that time of the event. And you can see in the beginning it was green, so that means everything was fine. It was traversing IXPs. There was no lost packets in the trace routes. Then starting with the event, you can see orange, which means the infrastructure of IXPs was not seen and the trace route failed. So this accounts to lost traffic. The blue you can see is if the routing path changed and it traversed another ASNs during that time which were not located at IXPs. So it could be transit providers, or it could also be the DE-CIX infrastructure or any other IXP. And you can also see that still some trace routes were getting through, which means that not all traffic was dropped at IXPs. And also a point is that afterwards, I think you see the BGP conversion again, which goes not completely to the state like before. And yeah. So coming to a summary, we found 3 reasons for IXP dependencies, which is remote peering. So this can show how maybe not to design remote peering in the future, and to prevent such events for traffic loss. And we also saw the asymmetric routing path, which I think is a good starting point to get more detailed view into how the paths are going through the network, and think about what might happen or if it's a good thing. And also we saw the layer 8 thing where user maybe went away from the PCs. And the good news is that nothing really bad happened. The internet was kind of stable, and probably only a small portion was affected by this event. And this maybe supports discussions about how sensitive IXPs might be, and if you have to regulate more or anything. And also, I think it, looking about the details and thinking about the event, might give some improvements to protocols like BGP, or maybe have new protocols like BFD in the future, which we are working on. Yeah, this sums up my presentation. Was pretty fast, so I think we have a lot of time for questions. Thank you very much.
Philip Matthews from Nokia. I'm just curious, when the AMX outage happened, why didn't BGP sessions go down and they just rerouted around it? Can you explain a little bit more, maybe what actually happened there?
Why they didn't, or?
Yeah, because it sounds from what you said, if I understand correctly, that the traffic was not rerouted around it. I would have expected BGP withdrawal stuff happened, and then they suddenly say, oh, I can reach it via DE-CIX instead, and so the traffic would have gone that way, and you would have actually seen a spike rather than a fall.
Yeah. Going back to Emil's statistic, the blue lines show that traffic was rerouted. So what happened here, it was rerouted, and only the orange stuff was dropped. So rerouting occurred, but of course after the BGP timeout. So it took some while, like 3 minutes, to have BGP to take new paths to the network. But then the traffic, we didn't see the traffic at our platform, so we still had some loss, which accounted probably to the asymmetric routing paths and other, like the user behavior and stuff like that.
Pardon me, but wouldn't asymmetric routing, I would think that would have had more stuff, because if the return path used to be, say the return path used to be through AMX, then that path should have been down, so it should have switched over maybe to your path.
Yeah, it didn't switch over to our place. That's what we were surprised of. Okay. Maybe, I'm not sure how your policies are. Maybe you're going to switch over to transit providers or anything, but we don't feel that we got the traffic that was. And it's also a question how much traffic was lost at IXPs, because it was probably not everything. It was just a portion. Yeah. But there is probably some points in the internet that got more traffic to that event.
Hello, Mike Hughes, Limelight Networks. I used to run a large exchange in the UK about 5 years ago. I'll tell you a story, and it's something that's quite related. There was a similar issue seen in the mid-2000s in London, and a large amount of routers started to lose sessions and couldn't really work out why. And what it was one of the multiple exchanges that was operating in London at the time had had a network incident. And the people that were connected to that also then started to see their sessions die on the other exchanges in London. Mm-hmm. So it was like, well, why are we seeing these issues? Why are these peers going down on our exchange, even though our exchange is fine and is up and is running? And exactly what you've seen here. The problem is that a small number of routers, and this is made worse by distance peering, a small number of routers are peering with the same AS, the same neighbor ASs, in multiple places over distance peering, so that they may have 3 or 4 peerings in the same metro with that AS, but then they may have another 4, 5, 6 with the same AS, with the same router from the same AS, over distance peering. So suddenly this one router has got like 10 sessions with the same neighbor. What we saw was quite large devices that were just not keeping up and losing their BGP sessions. Yet something that appeared to be underpowered was stable and was up. But the secret was it wasn't connected to any distance peering, and it wasn't connected to multiple exchange points. It was only connected to 1 or 2. So it is the situation that those routers are being overburdened. And what it is BGP multipathing happening here. So you lose an interface or something bad happens and you lose a neighbor. So you go, that neighbor's gone away. I need to process all the withdrawals. So I'll go and process all the withdrawals for that. And here's my new converge best paths. And the best path, the neighbor for that best path has gone away. Let's go and compute some more withdrawals and more stuff. Eventually, your BGP state machine just dies and stops sending hellos, and the whole thing just goes into a spiraling fail. And that's what's been built here is, there you go, 50% not working, 50% sack of fail caused by people building cheap networks and cheap peering.
Yeah, thank you.
Jeff Houston, APNIC. I think you're being a bit harsh on BGP, Mike. But in actual fact, that was really the reason why I got up to this microphone, because you're kind of saying, I observed this issue, and down here at layer 2, I saw this traffic, and using this trace route tool, I tried to intuit some behavior, but you didn't mention what happened to routing. Do you guys even monitor routing? Because I would have thought that sort of 1/2 or even 2/3 of this story is actually a story about BGP. And the real issue is, as Mike was trying to say, what happened at IXPs to the folk who were doing BGP across that exchange, and what did they see, and what happened at DE-CIX? Why did you not see more traffic and not less is really a BGP question. So do you guys collect BGP? Do you guys analyze BGP? Where's the other part of this story?
Yeah, there will be traffic dependencies number 2 presentation sometime, hopefully.
But you do collect BGP. You've actually got this stuff.
Yeah, I think so, but we didn't look into that till now, but there's some effort going on.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Daniel, I'm sorry, Stefan von Denik. Hi. I'm wondering, I know you guys are organized in EuroIX, where all the IXP guys are organized, and have you discussed it at EuroIX? For example, what about the traffic graphs of E-CIX? What about B-CIX, for example, only for the German region? The traffic has to be somewhere, so...
Yeah, I think it's also hard with statistics. Sometimes it always depends how long you preserve them and into which granularity and everything. But I know that it was discussed at EuroIX. I was not there. There was also a presentation like this at RIPE and other occasions. And yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, but we will continue to look into this and have similar investigations in the future. All right. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Daniel. Daniel finished up a couple minutes early, which lets me give you some good news. One, that gives you a few minutes to fill out your survey, which really helps the PC. and it could also enter you into win a prize tomorrow. And secondly, we have a break, and we have a break outside on the lawn in the sun. So enjoy it, and we'll see you back here shortly.